It's time to spin the wheel, Mr. Finn,
Oh, it
because
is,
it's
isn't
time
it?
to pick a pop check.
Yeah, and let's see who comes up today when we spin the Popcak wheel. And let's see who.
I hope it's Rachel. I hope it's
it's-
Rachel. I hope it's Rachel. I hope it's Rachel.
You know, hoping doesn't make it
No,
happen. It
who-
doesn't make it
no.
so. Hey, it's Rachel.
It's Rachel Popcak Isaac. Good morning, Rachel. It's so good to have you with us this morning.
Good morning.
Isn't
I'm
that
so
silly?
glad.
It's so ridiculous. I'm just shocked that your family continues to be a part of this when our part of it is so childish. But here we go.
I want a picture of this wheel, though.
Yeah, you got it. We'll send it to you via email a little bit later.
Perfect.
It lights up and everything. It's pretty cool.
We stole it from Jeopardy. No, I mean from Wheel of Fortune. Don't tell anybody.
Right.
You specialize in working with athletes, executives, and other high performers through your work as a faith-based mental performance specialist. Tell us about your personal background and what led you to this particular specialty.
Yeah, so I grew up as a dancer and competitive figure skater, and so I grew up in that world of high pressure, of perfectionism, of the stress of performance and competition and all of those sorts of things. And I personally struggled with the nerves and anxiety that came with those pressures. So when I first started competing and performing, I would throw up before competition, right? Because I was so nervous. And so I did the work to build my confidence, to manage my stress, to work on my mindset, to the point where by the end of my kind of career, if you will, I loved it. I loved performing. I was excited by it. It was fun to me. And so I not only in my own life, but I also saw that in my friends' life of just the pressures and the perfectionism, and the expectation from themselves and other people, and just the impact that has. And then, growing up with my parents, in that counseling world, I saw sort of, the benefit of all of that. And I wanted to blend the two together. So, I was 16 when I found out about sports and performance coaching and counseling. And, I saw it as a really beautiful way to blend, my two worlds, and being able to do that now in a faith-based way, and helping people know who God created them to be, and be able to manage the stress and anxiety and pressures of, just day-to-day life from that perspective is a really cool experience to get to do.
Now, when you are seeing clients, are there any common denominators, any particular struggle or challenge that are shared by a lot of people?
Yeah, I work with people in, all different walks of life, but I think two of the things that are most common or kind of stand out most often are certainly, managing stress and anxiety, but then also confidence building, and being able to understand that, confidence, it's not about boastfulness, and it's not about thinking that we have to have it all together all the time. And I think that's often, we have a kind of skewed sense of confidence, thinking that that's what it means. But really, it just means knowing who God created us to be, knowing the strengths and gifts and virtues that He's equipped us with, and the ways that He works through us in those, and not having to compare ourselves to anyone, because we can recognize and own who God created us to be, and recognize that God gave other people strengths and virtues as well, and created them to be that unique and unrepeatable person too. And that, I don't have to compete with somebody else. I can, their strengths and my strengths, we can complement each other. We can work together, for that communion that we were all created for, to be more effective when we work together, not feel threatened by somebody else's, strengths or things that they might be good at. So those are two things that I work with clients a lot on, is that kind of overcoming stress and anxiety, and then also being able to really build that confidence and that true sense of our identity.
Yeah, and we've heard over the years of famous athletes and other individuals, but for us in our culture, obviously a lot of questions going on with athletes, and we hear about the fact that they have counseling, that they have them with them, that there are regular meetings going on to do exactly the kind of things that you're talking about, Rachel. But why is this also important for Catholics in other high pressure positions to seek help from a Catholic pastoral counselor?
Yeah, I think for one, Catholic pastoral counseling and, faith-based success and performance coaching are very different because a lot of, kind of the more secular sort of coaching is I'm not, it's great. It has a lot of benefits, but I think a lot of times it just focuses on the mindset. But, we are whole persons, right? Mind, body, and soul. And being able to recognize that and work from that perspective and help people integrate their mind, body, and soul to, again, become more of the people that God created all of us to be makes such a difference, because we also can't separate out our work, whether it's sports or, corporate life or, at home life, whatever it is. We can't separate out any of those things that we do from one another. What we do at work is going to impact us at home, and what we do at home is going to impact us at work. And so being able to integrate all of those things from that faith-based perspective, so we're not just achieving those goals at work, but we're also, being who we were created to be in all of those areas of life, and strengthening our relationships with our family, with our spouses, with our friends, with God, with ourselves, and then allowing us to be able to tap into our strengths and tap into that unique purpose that each of us have, that unique calling from God that each of us have to live that abundant life that we're called to live. So I think being able to integrate the faith and integrate that whole person perspective really just makes such a difference in our effectiveness and our joy and our peace, in our overall life.
And you've got, of course, St. John Paul II's theology of the body that I'm sure plays quite heavily into what you're doing. And that's pretty important, isn't it?
It's a huge piece of it, because, again, it's, we're mind, body, and soul, and so being able to use that framework to help us be able to achieve those things, to help us recognize, the unity with God and with other people that we were created to have in a healthy way, and again, to be able to recognize the way that each of us are called to be a unique and unrepeatable person. I think in all environments, but especially high pressure environments, we can deal a lot with that comparison game, right?
Rachael.
And when we can recognize instead who we were created to be, we can break out of that in a beautiful way.
Rachael, where can people go to learn more about the Success and Performance Coaching Program?
You can go to CatholicCounselors.com and under our Services tab, learn more about pastoral counseling and our faith-based success and performance coaching.
I was crossing my fingers, and I was hoping it was Rachael, and doggone it if it wasn't, and fabulously done. Thank you, Rachael.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Have a great day. You've enriched ours.